Hello, my name is Thomas David Kehoe. I used to stutter severely. Let me show you a videotape of myself 15 years ago in a job interview.
So, you know, I did do a five-minute presentation about myself and walk to the recruiter.
This is not something the recruiter would have in front of him, though.
Yeah, everybody in the placement office has said, don't show this to a recruiter, and the two recruiters said that I've interviewed with loved it and kept it. When I talked to the placement office people, the reason they say don't show this to a recruiter is because nobody else does this. And the sense I'm getting from the recruiters is that they like it because I'm the only one who's giving them this.
That job interview was in 1991, and I didn't get the job. In 1992, I realized I had to do something to improve my speech. I'd completed 7 stuttering therapy programs with little or no effect on my speech. I'd heard about an electronic device called delayed auditory feedback, or DAF. And DAF devices were expensive, and they were used only in speech clinics. But I built one myself, which I could use on telephone calls or for home practice. And several of my friends in my stuttering support group asked me to build devices for them. And the next year I started a company called Casa Futura Technologies to manufacture anti-stuttering devices. Casa Futura means house of the future in Latin. Then 3 or 4 years ago, I was taking acting classes at the local university. And one of the classes we wrote and directed and performed a play. And after the last performance, I asked a friend to videotape me asking audience members what they thought about me stuttering. So what did you think about
Hi, Mom.
me stuttering?
I thought it was beautiful. For real. I thought I was much more like into the creativity of the play and thought that you guys just pulled off a really beautiful creation that you guys made. Maybe that's not the question. Is there a more specific question?
Fine. I mean, what did you think of the play? Well, I mean, what was it? Did you?
I thought that it was really obvious that you guys put in like lots and lots of hours, and it just was really obvious you guys worked really hard, and you guys are all talented, and everything you guys did, I was really blown away. I thought it was really beautiful.
You weren't wishing they had somebody acting who wasn't stuttering?
No way, man. No way. It was beautiful. It was great. You were great. I was very impressed.
Let me show you one of the devices here. And I should say that the devices will not make anyone 100% fluent 100% of the time. Most people get about a 70 to 80% improvement in fluency with the devices. This is why I recommend using the devices in conjunction with other forms of stuttering therapy. And later in this video, I will show you some of those stuttering therapy techniques that you can use with the devices. Well, the first thing I wanted to demonstrate to you is the full-size headset. We provide a headset with every device. You can use the headset in a speech clinic, you can use it for home practice, or you can use it on telephone calls. Note that the headset has a switch on the cord, which has a headset microphone switch and a headphone volume control. You want to keep the microphone always on and the headphones up all the way. I suggest taping these controls. if you're a speech language pathologist, we recommend cleaning the microphone in between clients using an alcohol prep pad so that you don't spread germs in between clients. We also have microphone windscreens and headphone covers.
That looks good.
Now I'm going to demonstrate how to use the miniature cell phone ear sets. These are smaller and less conspicuous than the full-size headsets, so they're popular in face-to-face conversations. Most cell phone ear sets are used monoaurally because it's illegal to drive a car with earphones in both ears. However, anti-stuttering devices are more effective if they're used binaurally, that is in both ears. So we also provide a binaural cell phone ear set that is made for use with either an iPod or a cell phone. As you can see, this one is a little more conspicuous, but it has better sound and it's binaural, so it's more effective than the monaural cell phone ear sets. The school DAF has jacks for a full-size headset, and also has a jack for the speech therapist to plug in her headphones to listen in, and it's got a jack for an optional cell phone ear set. The school DAF has a battery, and it has an AC adapter. The AC adapter does not charge the battery. And the school DAF also has a removable belt clip. Now I'm going to show you the first of the fluency shaping skills that this device will help you to do. This is the slow speech with stretched vowels target. If you turn the delay to 200 milliseconds, your speech should slow to 1 or 2 seconds per syllable. Now, because you probably have other things to do for the next 2 hours, I'm going to adjust this back to a normal speaking rate. But I'll tell you that for when you're stretching your vowels, you want to make sure you stretch your vowels but not stretch your consonants. In other words, you don't say stretch, you say stretch. For your consonants, you just lightly touch your lips, jaw, and tongue. Now, another mistake that people make is that they hold each word to the same length. What you want to do is to hold each syllable to the same length. So we do not say, I am an American. You say, I am an American. American has 4 syllables, so it should take 4 times longer than the 1-syllable words. Also make sure that you join the words together. Don't pause between the words except when you have to breathe. For example, you say, I am an American. You don't say, I am an American. Now your speech should be 100% fluent at 1 or 2 second stretched syllables. But we're doing this not because you should speak very slowly for the rest of your life, but rather your speech therapist is going to teach you other skills with this very slow speech. She may teach you to relax your breathing, or she may teach you to do gentle onset of phonation. We use slow speech to learn the skills that you will use later. And a good analogy here is to think about if you were learning tennis or golf. Your coach would have you first swing the racket or the club slowly. And your coach would look at how you're holding the racket, how you're standing, correct your elbows, make you move where your feet are placed, whatever, and get you perfect when you're swinging the racket slowly. And then when you're perfect, the coach will have you gradually increase your speed and your force until you're playing tennis or golf normally. And we'll do the same thing with speech. Another thing you want to do when you're using your very slow speech is to try to increase the stress of the conversations. Normally when you're just doing home practice or chatting with your speech language pathologist, it's a low stress conversation and you're probably fluent anyway. So let's try to increase the stress of the conversation. You could do this by doing some role playing with your speech therapist or with a family member. For example, you could pretend to be a telemarketer and you're calling, trying to sell slow cookers and slow blow fuses and slow jam CDs, and the person you're calling asks, how slow are your slow jam CDs, and you say, our slow jam CDs are the slowest. Or when a telemarketer calls you, you can practice your slow speech. Now, I used to do this, and I found it was very effective. Can't say that anyone else has ever taken my advice, but using your speech therapy to practice with a telemarketer is a good way to practice in a real conversation with a certain amount of stress. Now, another thing your speech language pathologist may do is to have you take off one of the headphones and just use the DAF with one ear, or she may have you turn the volume down, or she may have you take off the device entirely and do your slow speech without the device. If you can do the slow speech 100% fluently without the device in a fairly stressful conversation, you're now ready to adjust the delay to a faster speed. If you adjust the delay to 100 milliseconds, you should speak at about a half second per syllable. And if we adjust the delay to 70 milliseconds, you should speak at about 1/4 of a second per syllable. This sounds normal, but it's a little bit slower than normal speech, so we call this slow normal. If you adjust the delay to 55 milliseconds, then you should be talking at a normal speaking rate. We should get about a 50% reduction in stuttering at 55 milliseconds and about a 75% reduction in stuttering at 70 milliseconds at a normal speaking rate. Now, if you use the 70 millisecond delay at a normal speaking rate without speech therapy, you should get about a 70% reduction in stuttering. Do not try to turn the delay up to 200 milliseconds and talk at a normal speaking rate. The 200 millisecond delay is only for very slow speech. It's possible that you might be able to talk fast with a delay longer than 70 milliseconds. People who don't stutter can't talk fast with a delay at 100 milliseconds or 200 milliseconds. But stutterers appear to have underactivity in our auditory processing area of our brains that makes us, it appears that stutterers have something wrong with how we hear our voices, or we have an ability to tune out our voices. And so if you really try to tune out hearing your own voice, you may be able to talk at a normal speaking rate with the delay set at 100 or 200 milliseconds for a certain period of time. But in the long term, this is a bad idea. That if you try to talk at a normal speaking rate with the delay set longer than 70 milliseconds, you may find that the effect of the DAF wears off over time, and you may find yourself beginning to stutter when using the device. You may even find that your speech becomes worse when you're not using the device. So if you're going to use the 100 to 200 millisecond delays, you must slow down. And if you want to talk at a normal or fast speaking rate, you must use a delay of about 50 or 70 milliseconds. Speaking of long-term effects, in one study, 9 severe adult stutterers were given school DAF devices. They were not given any speech therapy. They were asked to use the devices 30 minutes a day, which was 10 minutes reading aloud, 10-minute conversation with a family member, and a 10-minute telephone call. 3 months later, the researchers found that their stuttering had diminished 55% when they were not wearing the devices. This is what we call carryover fluency, and this is the goal of using these devices. Now, a 55% improvement in speech is not perfect speech, but it was good enough that these people were able to talk in most of their conversations in the day without the devices. And they only had to use the devices for stressful conversations as well as for practicing. The telephone fluency system plugs into telephones that have a headset jack. Cordless phones and cell phones have headset jacks. Some corded phones have headset jacks, and some corded phones don't have headset jacks. Now, the telephone fluency system has delayed auditory feedback preset at 50 milliseconds for a normal speaking rate. It does not have adjustable DAF, so for the very slow speech that you would use in speech therapy. The telephone fluency system does have adjustable frequency shifted auditory feedback. You can adjust it as anywhere you want. It only has downshifts for stuttering. It does not have the upshifts for Parkinson's. And the further you adjust the FAF down, the more effective it should be in reducing stuttering. Let's plug in the FAF so you can hear what it sounds like. Well, let's listen to what frequency shifted auditory feedback sounds like. As I turn the pitch control,
you'll hear my voice get lower in pitch. With the controls set at halfway, the pitch shift is about a half octave down. I can continue to turn it to 3/4, 1, and as low as -1.2 octaves. Most people don't want to listen to it this low, but most people like it about a half octave down. The further down you shift your voice, the more effective the device should be to reduce your stuttering.
Now I'll show you another fluency skill. This one's called relaxed breathing and relaxed vocal folds. Take off the device and lean back in your chair. Put one hand on your stomach, and you should feel your stomach move out as you inhale and in as you exhale. This is called diaphragmatic breathing or relaxed breathing. In contrast, you should not do upper chest breathing, which is also called thoracic breathing. With upper chest breathing, your stomach moves in as you inhale and out as you exhale. Upper chest breathing makes you feel tense. In contrast, diaphragmatic breathing makes you feel relaxed. Normal speech uses upper chest breathing. This enables you to get more air into your lungs and to hold back the air so you can talk longer and longer and longer on a breath without pausing for another breath. This also, with normal speech, you take a quick inhalation and then your exhalation time is slow. You also have fewer breaths per minute. And you're also tensing your upper chest muscles and your throat muscles so that you can hold back the air in your lungs. Speaking with diaphragmatic breathing is not normal. But in speech therapy, your speech-language pathologist has you speak in abnormal ways that enable you to produce fluent speech. Practice relaxed diaphragmatic breathing for a few minutes. Then, keeping one hand on your stomach, put your other hand on your throat and say, ah. Feel your vocal folds vibrating as you say, ah. You'll have one hand on your stomach, feeling your relaxed diaphragmatic breathing, and your other hand on your throat, feeling your vocal folds vibrating. Practice this for a few minutes. Now turn those ahs into words by moving your lips, jaw, and tongue. For example, I am, As I said, in speech therapy, your speech-language pathologist trains you to speak in abnormal ways that produce fluent speech. Your goal is not to speak like this everywhere. Rather, your goal is to find something that is in between this very relaxed, slow speech and the normal, fast, tense speech that you normally use, which leads to stuttering. Perhaps you might find that you're able to find speech that is in between, which is a little bit slower and a little bit more relaxed and a little bit deeper pitch, but sounds perfectly normal without the stuttering you would have if you were speaking faster and more tensely. Let's take this relaxed breathing and relaxed vocal folds to the extreme. Note that as you relax your breathing and relax your vocal folds, your pitch drops. Well, let's do a scale. And let's try to talk at the very bottom of that scale. Your voice should sound very deep here, and your vocal folds very relaxed, and your breathing very relaxed. Adult men can get their voices down quite low, although women and children are not going to be able to get anywhere near this low. Although women might want to remember that Lorraine Bacall had a high voice until a director trained her to talk with a deep, sexy voice. Let's do one more thing with this relaxed breathing and relaxed vocal folds. Put on your device and adjust the FAF to the lowest setting. You should hear your voice in the headphones very deep. If you tune into this deep, relaxed voice, it should be very easy for you to relax your breathing and relax your vocal folds. The Smalltalk has delayed auditory feedback and frequency shifted auditory feedback. It has jacks for a full-size headset, and it has a jack for a cell phone earset. And it has a jack for a telephone interface. The DAF control is full-sized, but the FAF control is small and behind this sliding panel. Adjust the FAF with the provided small screwdriver. The Smalltalk has 6 downward pitch shifts and 2 upward pitch shifts. The downward pitch shifts are for stuttering, to help you relax your vocal folds. The up shifts are for Parkinson's, to help you tense your vocal folds. Don't use the up shifts for stuttering. You'll find 2 other controls behind this sliding panel. The top control is the microphone gain. Adjusting the microphone gain enables you to use different microphones. For example, you might turn down the gain with a throat microphone, but turn up the gain with a lapel microphone. The middle control is the outgoing telephone volume. Ask people if your voice is too loud or too quiet on the phone, then adjust this control. Increasing telephone volume is especially helpful if you have Parkinson's. The Smalltalk has a rechargeable battery. Plug in the charger to recharge the battery. The light changes from green to red to indicate that the battery is low. To use the Smalltalk in a noisy environment, switch to push-to-talk mode. Note that the power switch has 3 positions. Right is off, left is on. Middle is push-to-talk mode. The sound is off until you push this button. Pushing the button instantly switches the sound on. The push-to-talk feature works well because in noisy environments you're usually in a group of people. For example, if you go out to dinner with 3 friends, you'll be listening 3/4 of the time and talking 1/4 of the time. Or if a child is in a classroom of 20 children, the teacher will call on that child 1/20 of the time. Most of the time you're sitting and listening with clear hearing, and then when you need to talk, you just push the button. Now I'm going to show you some features of the Pocket Speech Lab and the Big Mouth devices. The Pocket Speech Lab and Big Mouth listen to you and analyze the frequencies and amplitudes in your voice. When your voice is relaxed and fluent, the green light should be on. But when your voice tenses before stuttering, the red light should go on. You will likely have to go back and practice the relaxed breathing and relaxed vocal folds target to become good at using this feature. Work on relaxing your voice with a deep, low pitch so that the green light is on. Then work on tensing your voice so that the red light switches on. When you can make the light change between green and red at will, you're ready to use this feature on a telephone call and then in a face-to-face conversation. You can adjust the sensitivity of the vocal tension biofeedback. You may want to start with it at easy and work your way up to the middle position. If you adjust the control too hard, the light will instantly switch red when you talk and green when you stop talking. You'll use this when you want voice activation. You can switch the device so that the DAF/FAF sound is always on, or you can switch the device so that the sound switches on when your voice is tense, but the sound switches off when your voice is relaxed. This is called negative feedback. If you use this feature and you're able to keep the light green and the sound off, you're ready to take the headphones off and continue to talk fluently. In other words, this feature trains carryover fluency when you're not using the device. Practice this when reading aloud, then practice on telephone calls, and then try to do it in face-to-face conversations. The device also has a switch for stuttering or Parkinson's. In stuttering mode, the green light indicates relaxed speech, and the red light indicates tense speech. In Parkinson's mode, the red light indicates relaxed, quiet speech. The green light indicates that you have adequate vocal volume and vocal fold tension. The Pocket Speech Lab also has a clock that measures how much time your vocal folds were too tense or too relaxed. The Pocket Speech Lab and Big Mouth also have a masking manual button. If you get into a silent block where you can't make a sound, DAF and FAF don't help. But you can push the masking button and the device generates a sine wave imitating the sound of your vocal folds vibrating. This should fool your brain into thinking that your vocal folds are relaxed and pull you out of the block. Those are all the features of the devices. If you have further questions, please read the owner's manual. If you need help with stuttering therapy, please make an appointment with a speech-language pathologist.